So, hello everyone. This is the Arrowhead biweekly meeting in which we have a feature presentation by Tamás Bordi from AITIA. Title of the presentation is Quality of Service in Eclipse Arrowhead. Floor is yours, Tamás.
Thank you. So today I'm going to talk about how the 5th generation of Eclipse Arrowhead can support you and your use cases in implementing service quality considerations. First of all, the challenge is that the QoS has many dimensions, especially in a service-oriented architecture, since the maintainers of the different loosely coupled components are often different organizations with distinct focus points. But of course, you always want the best service provider for your consumer system and according to your requirements. Or we could mention that the scaling possibilities in a service-oriented architecture is already, fundamentally more powerful than in case of monolith systems, but supplemented towards with a proactive QoS strategy, it could really create a demand-wise scaling environment. So from performance to reliability, availability, security, business, and domain-specific quality requirements, these are all possible aspects. And the challenge is that how we can ensure or at least give space for all of them in an Eclipse Arrowhead local cloud. So how QoS in general is addressed in Arrowhead 5? The answer is two things, through service orchestration and with QoS evaluators. We made possible placing any kind of quality-related requirements into the service orchestration requests. And also we prepared the dynamic service orchestration core system to cooperate with the systems, what we call QoS evaluators. These supporting systems are responsible for collecting and evaluating QoS-related metrics on a well-defined domains. Each of them are providing a syntactically same, but under the hood different service, which makes possible for the orchestrator to consume this service regardless of knowing the exact domain. These systems are always filtering or ranking the given providers, and of course, multiple QoS evaluator is allowed to be deployed in a practical local cloud. So in one orchestration request, you can define QoS requirements on multiple domains. This is a simplified figure about the orchestration process with QoS considerations. So your consumer sends its orchestration request to the orchestrator. The orchestrator queries the service registry for matching providers. After that, it performs a cross-check with the authorization core system. Then the orchestrator realizes that there are quality requirements defined. So based on those requirements, it queries again the service registry, but this time for the related QoS evaluator systems in order to make the provider candidate list being filtered or stored, sorted with these evaluators. All right, on the left-hand side, you can see the service orchestration request. You might already familiar with it, but the new stuff is this, the quality requirements. This is an optional field, of course. You need to, or your consumer need to define a type, which is basically an identifier of the targeted QoS evaluator system. The same identifier has to be provided by the evaluator itself as a service metadata at the time of its own service registration. You have to define also an operation, which can be filter or sort. And the domain-specific content goes under the requirements key. The type and the operation is used by the orchestrator itself to find and cooperate with the right evaluator system, but the domain-specific requirements are just passed over to the selected evaluator without any interpretation attempt. You can see here the evaluation request from the orchestrator towards to the QoS evaluators, which also contains, of course, the actual provider candidate list, what need to be filtered or sorted. And here we have the evaluation response, which is a bit different depending what the operation was, filter or sort. So as you can see, you can create and easily integrate your own QoS evaluator. But of course, we also developed an open source one for the community. It was published with the 5.2 release in last year, December. And we targeted the performance domain, which is possible to measure on device level. So we named this supporting system as device QoS evaluator. I can summarize its responsibilities in 3 points. It measures device-related performance metrics, it calculates and stores time series KPIs, and it maps the results to the systems that are present in the service registry. It performs 2 measurement types. The basic measurement is a run trip time, which is basically the milliseconds passed by from the beginning of a TCP connection attempt towards to a closed port of a device and until receiving the connection denial answer. And the milliseconds are expressed as percentages relative to a configurable baseline. This is what works out of the box. You have to do nothing, just deploy this evaluator into your local cloud. But if you would like to utilize its full power, then you have to install an agent application on the devices. This agent is a lightweight server program written in Python that obtains CPU, memory, and network data from the operational system. And this data can be queried periodically by the device QoS evaluator. Here we have a simplified overview about this. So the evaluator periodically updates its system list from the service registry. It calculates a system's device map based on the given system or device addresses, which are available again from the service registry. And parallel, based on this system device map, it measures the RTTs towards to the close ports of the device. And the agent is installed, then it queries the CPU, memory, and network load data as well. The collected data of a period is going to be aggregated as minimum, maximum, mean, median, and current, and these metrics are stored and used later when an evaluation request arrives from the orchestrator, which looks like this. And of course, this is coming from the consumer side via the orchestration request. And in this example, the consumer said that the providers should be assessed based on the maximum RTT, the runtime time, and the mean CPU total load, the median of the used memory, and the current egress load. There are also different weights defined to these metrics. The sum of the weights, of course, have to be always 1. And it was also defined that only the last 90 seconds has to be considered during the evaluation process. And this is the formula that will be used for this example by the evaluator system to calculate a score for each provider candidate. And based on these scores, the candidates will be sorted or filtered. Of course, the filter operation would also require a threshold being defined but now in this example, we have a sort operation. We think that using this device QoS evaluator is a really good way to achieve a powerful load balancing mechanism in an Arrowhead local cloud, because if you have multiple instances of a resource demanding service in your local cloud, and the consumer that using this service always reorchestrates before the consumption attempt, plus it defines, of course, QoS requirements with a matchmaking flag, for example, then always the healthier provider will be offered to it at the end of the orchestration process. One more thing, that our future plan is that Arrowhead users could define QoS requirements centrally and not just on consumer level, but on service definition and cloud level as well, because sometimes it is not really convenient to maintain these requirements of a consumer on the consumer source code or its configuration in its configuration. And also one set of requirement could be valid for multiple consumers. So this future development will definitely have some benefit additionally to this QoS support. And we have, of course, the documentation site where you can find any kind of information for this device QoS evaluator under the support system. You can have check this device QoS evaluator page, and here we have everything: the system description and the service descriptions, metadata, what it is using, and all the stuff. I hope that you will find everything what is needed for you. If not, then please let us know, and we will update the site, of course. And I think, yeah, that was roughly the current QoS features in Arrowhead 5. Please raise your questions if any. I hope you have some. And I thank you for your attention.